The City of Bloomington, Illinois is kicking off its 2022 budget review, a financial roadmap that guides how we will spend approximately $245 million in money expected to be collected from you, Bloomington taxpayers, and others who shop, eat, buy gas, or stay overnight in our community. We also get funds from the state and federal government and other sources. Those funds are used to pay for important stuff, like the water mains that bring water to your tap and the sewers that take the dirty water out of your house. It also pays to fix the streets and sidewalks that we drive and walk on for our award-winning parks. It covers the equipment that picks up our trash and brush or clear the streets after a bad storm so we can get to where we need to go. There's also some pretty cool stuff that's planned for this year that we know that you'll be excited about. Between now and the end of April, your Bloomington City Council will review and ultimately decide how those funds are spent, and residents will have ample opportunity to weigh in on the process. Let's meet Scott Rasmus, the city's finance director. Scott, along with budget manager Chris Tomerlin, their finance team, and the city's department directors and staff have been working hard to put together this plan.
My nickname is Basil. That's in reference to, this is going way back, Basil Rathbone. My last name is Rathbun. Basil Rathbone was an actor back in the 50s, I think, that played Sherlock Holmes. This is kind of his biggest role, back in the day. And literally my first week, freshman year in college, back in the day, Channel 3 out of Champaign used to have a 3 o'clock movie every day. And they would run themes, and it was Sherlock Holmes week on their early show on Channel 3 out of Champaign. I went to University of Illinois, and Basil Rathbone was starring, and boom, I've had my nickname since I was 18 years old, Basil. Fluid is a word right now, and I know that's 5 words already, and I'd say fluid and COVID. So interpreting or trying to project COVID. That's 2022 in a nutshell right there. The impact of COVID, you're looking at what's happening now. You're trying to listen to the experts to see what the trailing tail might be on it. The residual impact. How long is it going to take to roll out vaccines? All these things have an impact on our future revenue projections. They impact consumer behavior. Hotel, motel tax revenue is a component of the city's budget. People aren't traveling. Local motor fuel tax, that's a component of the city budget. People aren't driving into work as much. So it's really impacted our revenue projections, and we're having to kind of really go at it cautiously. The budget can really go up and down year over year, depending on the capital projects that are planned for the coming year. Certain funds like the water fund and sewer fund, they accumulate savings so that they can execute larger projects kind of all at once, finding efficiencies and executing these projects in 1 year versus stretching them. This coming year, 2022, a significant driver of that is the O'Neill Pool replacement. So we've added a $10+ million placeholder in the budget related to O'Neill Pool. And then the water fund, I mentioned that previously, they've increased their capital projects as well. And between those two, that's really like what is pushing up the budget. There's a direct relationship between the home rule portion of the sales tax, that local, when you shop locally and pay that additional sales tax for your purchase, that comes right back to the city. When you spend your dollars here locally, that's going right back into streets and sidewalks. The other component comes into the general fund. It's not specifically dedicated, but those general fund tax dollars, they pay for public safety. So for your police and fire. Police and fire don't have their own direct fees other than fire has ambulance. So the funding comes from our general tax revenue. So specifically, when you purchase here locally and the city realizes that home rule component of the sales tax, you're directly impacting the revenues available for public safety, and we have dedicated dollars related to the streets and sidewalks. I kind of said that the other night during the presentation. It was from Star Wars. When Yoda says "always in motion is the future," that captures, especially now with COVID, because 3 weeks ago there was no indoor dining, or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and then now we've entered a different phase. There's indoor dining allowed in restaurants. I mean, this has a material impact on the city. Just overnight, we change our outlook due to these mitigation changes. Video gaming, there's a revenue category that was completely shut down 100%, and that's $70,000 to $80,000 a month in tax revenues for the city. And by opening that back up, boom, there's $70,000, $80,000 back into the revenue stream for the city. So, always in motion is the future. Thank you, Yoda, for that one. Finance directors aren't supposed to make jokes. Big dollar bills, that's about as far as I